Shalom, this is Yair Davidiy speaking to you from the land of Israel. The subject of today's talk concerns Joseph. It's Joseph, the tribes of Joseph. That is the major tribe amongst the Israelite tribes, Joseph. The leading tribe amongst the Israelite tribes is Joseph. And he brings to fruition the efforts of all of the other tribes. He is the apex, he is the crux. He is the one who gives the potency to the prophets. Even though each and every one of the other tribes also had much to contribute, and each one gave something of their own. Joseph is the one on whom the prophecies of Scripture focus. In some ways, he is the most important tribe, or in this particular field, he has his own unique task, Joseph. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were the forefathers of the Israelite nation. Jacob was renamed Israel. Israel had 12 tribes. Israel had 12 sons and became the forefathers of the 12 tribes. One of the tribes was Joseph. Joseph had 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and these 2 tribes became full-fledged entities, full-fledged tribes in their own right. Full-fledged tribes in their own right. The 12 tribes, the ancestors of the 12 tribes went down to Egypt. In Egypt they became very populous, a great and mighty nation. The Egyptians were jealous of them, they oppressed them, enslaved them. Under Moses they come up out of Egypt, entered the wilderness. In the wilderness they received the Torah. They moved through the wilderness, came to the land of Canaan and conquered it and divided it up amongst the tribes. And then they went through a period of judges, of leaders, until the time of King Saul, and King Saul became the first king. King Saul was from the tribe of Benjamin. The second king was David from the tribe of Judah. After David came Solomon. Solomon built the temple in Jerusalem. When Solomon died, his son Rehoboam became king after him. In the time of Rehoboam, the northern 10 tribes, 10 out of the 12 tribes, rebelled and set up their own kingdom led by Jeroboam from the tribe, Jeroboam the son of Nebat from the tribe of Ephraim. So they set up their own independent kingdom, and this independent kingdom was taken into exile by the Assyrians. They rebelled against the Assyrians, and they moved out. They moved to the north, they moved to the west, and eventually they migrated to Western Europe, and areas of Western Europe. They congregated in select areas, and they created nations. The different groupings tended to congregate in specific areas, and we can trace the ancestry of these specific groupings back to one or other of the tribes, and we find that peoples, groups that emerged from one tribe, tended to reassemble, to recoalesce in specific areas, so that these areas may be identified with the tribe in question. And how do we identify each specific area with the tribe in question? As we said, by tracing their ancestors, tracing their ancestry, tracing major groups amongst them, comparing the names of these groups to the names of clans within the tribes as given in the Bible, and finding that the same names or very similar names tend to congregate, tend to reassemble in specific areas. As well as that, we have characteristics, tribal characteristics that the Bible also mentions, or related sources of the Bible. We find these characteristics reappearing in the said areas. Also through other means, through the meanings of the names in Hebrew, through the symbols, a combination of different identifying points. We're able to reassemble, to find how the tribes, each tribe, created its own individual entity, polity. Meanwhile, when the 10 tribes were taken into exile, the southern tribes, that is the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and afterwards Levi, in the south, they remained where they were, and they were in the kingdom of Judah, and from them came the ancestors of the Jewish people, who are referred to in Scripture as Judah, and they were also taken into exile later by the Babylonians, but they returned from the Babylonian exile, and they settled in the land of Judah, also and even though many were left behind in Babylon, and that was the beginning of the diaspora, the Jewish diaspora, and they created the Jewish people, and they had their own independent, their own task to fulfill, according to the Bible, and their own goal, and their own mission in world history to carry out. And they had to keep the law, or were supposed to keep the law of Moses, to develop the law, and to remain in the land, and to remain in the land as well as they could. And now too, they have to keep the law, they should keep the law, and they should also stay in the land, develop the land and build it up. And the 10 tribes should help them, according to the Bible. This is one of the tasks of the 10 tribes, to help Judah, to help the people of Judah, the tribes of Judah, to become what they should be. Zebulun gave rise to the Netherlands, or even though all of these groups that we are naming and about to name had other elements from the 10 tribes amongst them, the one that dominated, it was in every case there was a specific tribe that dominated. So Issachar dominated in Finland and in the Netherlands. Gad dominated in Sweden, Naphtali in Norway, Dan in Denmark, Ireland, the tribes of Asher and Dan dominated in Ireland. Asher is also found in Scandinavia. The tribes of Joseph dominated in England and Scotland and in Wales. France was dominated by the tribe of Reuben. Belgium by elements from Joseph and Benjamin and of Zebulun. The tribes of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh were dominant, as we said, in the British Isles. From the British Isles they helped establish the USA. USA was also dominated by Israelite settlements from the Israelite tribes. In the USA, the tribes of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh are preeminent, and the characteristics of the USA are determined more by the tribe of Manasseh, whereas Britain gives expression to the tribes of Ephraim. So too Australia, New Zealand, Canada also have elements of Ephraim. The white people in South Africa also descend from the tribes of Israel. From the point of view of prophecy, we're going to concentrate more in this talk on Joseph, and also prophecy itself tends to lay an emphasis upon Joseph and to make a distinction between Joseph and the other tribes. Land of Israel from the Nile to the Euphrates is the promised land, or the basic area, the area to start out from. The land of Israel from the Nile to the Euphrates is the land of the 12 tribes. And all of the Israelites should, in principle, endeavor to dwell in the land of Israel, but dwelling in the land of Israel is contingent on keeping circumcision and keeping the law of Moses, which the Jews do in principle, whereas the lost 10 tribes don't. They're not to be blamed for that, because they forgot, they lost consciousness, and they lost awareness, they lost proofs of their ancestry, and we can prove who they are to a reasonable degree, but only in the aggregate, only as groups. Each and every individual one amongst them cannot say for certain that he belongs to the tribes of Israel. In the future this will be made known to him by the Messiah, son of David. Also, this is also brought down in Jewish law, in the book of Kings, the book of the laws of kings and their wars by Maimonides in chapter 12. He mentions that expressly. But until this comes, or some process associated with him, with this comes about, we cannot say for sure concerning any specific individual that they descend from Israel. We can only say that as a group, the group he belongs to may be identified with a specific tribe, and that is a beginning at least. We have to start from somewhere, and that is the beginning. That is what divine providence wants us to do. And that is what we have. In the end times, as we find in the book of Ezekiel, the land of Israel will be divided amongst the 12 tribes. Each tribe will receive its portion. The tribes will be reconciled. All the members of each tribe will know who they are. And the situation will change. But until that does, we work with what we have. Another point concerning the end times is that in the time of the Messiah, the borders of the land of Israel will expand, and they will also encompass the present-day areas that the lost tribes are now living in. Now, this is not a unanimous conclusion, but it exists. It's based on an analysis of the names and of the description of the future borders of the land of Israel. This opinion was held by the Hatim Sofer, 1762-1839, and also by Rabbi Moshe David Valley, 1697 to 1776, and others. As we said, have hundreds of prophecies in the Bible. All of them taken together show one composite picture concerning who the lost 10 tribes are and proving it. And also some of them refer to specific characteristics of one or other of the tribes that we also find amongst the peoples that we mentioned. That also is proof. And we will go through some of these proofs. But on the whole, Abraham, Isaac and Jacob was renamed Israel. They were the forefathers. And the book of Genesis, proofs were given concerning them. Proofs were given concerning them, and these proofs refer to the descendants of Israel, descendants of the Israelites, losing awareness of their ancestry, but becoming great and mighty nations, extremely numerous on a world scale, like to a fantastic degree, also being rich in natural blessings, mineral resources, agriculture, and being militarily predominant, and of possessing the gates of the enemies, that is strategic pathways, strategic avenues of entering and leaving, of ingress and exit. This is what we have. These are proofs. These are proofs in themselves. And on top of those proofs, we can bring additional points referring to specific details in the overall picture that help confirm our identifications.